Good evening, participants.
Evening to Madam Rebecca.
Yes.
We can hear you.
We would like to start so that we finish early. I can see we are a quorum. The others will join as we continue. Any volunteer, raise your hand, we unmute you. Who would like to pray for us? Let's have Damaris Kemani. Where is Damaris Kemani? Or Gaia. Gaia, unmute yourself.
Let us pray.
Yes.
Almighty Father, we thank you this afternoon as we want to commence our learning for this today. Lord, now I pray that you be with us, be with our lecturers until we come to the end of the course. For I pray, trusting and believing in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Gaia. And welcome to our session today. Today we will be looking at education law and policy. That is module 1. Maybe we could have somebody telling us what you learned yesterday. Anyone? And kindly rename your gadgets so that we can know who we are talking to. So that I can call your name. Who can give us a recap of yesterday, what you were taught yesterday? A brief. We can have a different person. I can see Bernard Munyoro. Unmute yourself, Bernard.
Bernard, can you unmute yourself?
And you go ahead. Bernard, unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. My name is Bernard Mnyolo. Yesterday we were introduced to the course outline that is from module 1 up to module 9. I think we did some of the introductory part to the course.
Yeah. So you looked at the module 1 up to module 9, and maybe you could mention the modules. Or you can't remember. Gaia, it seems you are very active. Just add to what he has told us. What else were you taught?
Okay, well, we were taught yesterday, we were taken through various things, introductory part. We were given the objectives of the course and the modules from module 1 to module 9, what we were supposed to look at through the course. Module 1 talks about education law and education law, policy and reforms. Module 2, transforming education, leadership and management. Transforming education, leadership and management. That is 2. Module 3, we will be looking at institutional resources, leadership and management. Module 4, effective leadership for learner-friendly school. Module 5, we will be looking at leadership in ICT and integration. Module 6, we will be looking at leadership in curriculum delivery. Module 7, we will be looking at leadership in science, technology, and innovation, that is STI. Module 8, we will be looking at guidance and counseling for educational institution. And module 9 entails research projects. Then again, after looking at the modules, you are also taken through how to pay fees online. And as well as you are also taken through the how we will handle ourselves during examination period. I think that marks the end of that, what I captured yesterday. My data ended up at that point.
Very good. Thank you, Gaia. It seems you are very attentive. And that is all that you were supposed to cover during induction. So, as you were told, one of the modules is education law and policy. That is education law, policy, and reforms. That is module 1. And it is the one that we are going to look at today. And my name is Rebecca Murioki, and we shall be facilitating together with my co-facilitator, Mr. Simon Gatia. So I will take you through part of the module, and then he will take over. So today we are looking at education law, policy and reforms, module 1. And when it comes to education law and policy, education law and policy, we have education laws and policies that govern education system. And we find that they refer to collection of laws. We have laws, we have regulations, and we also have legal guidelines that govern how education system operates. And these laws, these regulations, these policies, and these legal guidelines, they establish the rights, also the responsibilities, and even the obligations of various stakeholders in the education sector. We find that we have various stakeholders in education, and maybe we could mention some of these stakeholders. Anybody who can mention some of the stakeholders that we have in education sector? Dennis Were, unmute yourself.
Yes, hello.
Yes.
Some of the stakeholders that we have the parents, the teachers, the learners, and then the board of the management.
Very good. So we have those that are in the government, even the Ministry of Education, the Teacher Service Commission. The rest of you, I can see you have raised your hands, so you have points. You can write them on the chat as we continue. So we find that we have those several stakeholders, and we have their responsibilities. And their responsibilities, they are laid down in these laws, these regulations, these policies, these legal guidelines. Even us as education managers, since we are training you to become education managers, we need to be guided by this legal, these framework, these legal frameworks, the laws and the regulations and the policies, because we have a way in which education system operates. So the legal framework, they ensure that education institutions comply the legal policies, those laws, those policies. They ensure that the educational institutions comply and ensures that educational institutions comply with the national and also international standards. We have international standards that have been set up. We have the national standards that have been set up in education, and we find that education stakeholders are supposed to uphold those standards. And when they uphold those standards, this promotes equity. It promotes equity. It also promotes access and also it promotes quality in education. When we have standards, when we have every institution following national and international standards, we find that the education that is provided in those institutions is usually quality. And also, when these stakeholders follow the guidelines, when they follow the regulations, when they follow the policies, and these legal frameworks, they are able to ensure that they follow them, and you will realize that most of these legal documents, they talk about equity in education. They also talk about access. So we find that this session is very important for you as education managers. And I want us to start and the introduction of this module. This module is divided into 7 units. So I can see Daniel Karaja, your hand is up. Maybe you want to contribute something. Daniel Karaja, say something before we continue. Or you had raised your hand earlier. So I'm saying that this module is divided into 7 units. And these units are Unit 1. It talks about international, regional, national frameworks of education. So that is what we will look at in Unit 1. Then Unit 2 of this module talks about policy and legal frameworks of education. Then Unit 3, it talks about the roles of education managers. All the education managers in the education sector, also the bodies that we have in education sector, and also the roles of the institutions. So again, in Unit 4, it talks about the legal framework of public resources, public resource management. And then Unit 5, it talks about policy and legal framework of ICT. Then Unit 6, it talks about ethics, integrity, and good governance. And then Unit 7, it talks about emerging issues in education. So we are going to look at an overview of the 7 units. After we have taken you through the overview, you will be required to go to your to the virtual campus, Kemi virtual campus, and you will read on your own more about what we will take you through. So today we are going through the whole module. That is the overview, but that is not yet. You will be required also to go online and to our Kemi virtual campus so that you go through the content and be able to learn at your own pace. So as we were told yesterday, I believe you are told that this course is usually blended. We utilize blended methodology whereby we have self-paced and also we have face-to-face. So after we have taken you through this online training, you will also be required to go online and learn and go through the content in details. So the objectives of going through this module is first of all to ensure that you become aware of the international, of the regional, and also national frameworks of education. Then also you will be able to understand the policy and the legal frameworks of education. And then you will be able to appreciate the roles of education managers and the bodies and also institutions that we have in education sector. And then you will also be able to appreciate the legal framework of public resource management. And then you will also have knowledge of the policy and legal framework of ICT integration. Again, you will be able to apply the principles and tools of integrity and good governance. And again, we will also go through the emerging issues in education, and because you are required to mainstream them in education. So in a nutshell, that is a summary of the objectives for this session. And therefore, Unit 1, as we said, it talks about international, regional, and national frameworks of education. So in this unit, we will be looking at the international, the regional, and national frameworks of education. And we find that also, then this unit again is divided into 5 sections. It looks at the Millennium Development Goals. And again, it looks at the education for all goals, that is the EFA. And then New Partnership for African Development, that is NEPAD goals. Then the East African Community, EAC goals, and the Kenya Vision 2030. And we find that these international, regional, and national frameworks of education are very important because they guide the education sector on, as they set the goals of education, they should be in line with these international, regional, and national frameworks of education. Because the education that we offer in Kenya or in any other country, it is supposed to be in line with these international, regional, and national frameworks. It is supposed to ensure that as we formulate the goals, in our education institutions, they should be in line with the Millennium Development Goals, the EFA, the NEPAD, EAC, the Kenya Vision 2030. So as to enable us meet the standards that have been set in the education sector. The Millennium Development Goals, we know that there are 8 international development goals. And we find that these goals, the Millennium Development Goals, they were established during the Millennium Summit. There was a summit of the United Nations that was held in 2000. And this is when the Millennium Development Goals were established. And then after the Millennium Development Goals, all these goals, they were set to be achieved by 2015. And this, maybe we could have somebody mention any of these Millennium Development Goals. Anybody with an idea of these Millennium Development Goals? Daniel Karaja, unmute yourself and mention any. Daniel Karaja, your hand is up. Unmute yourself and give us any of these Millennium Development Goals. You are unable to unmute. Then we have Wilson Mutida. Try to unmute. Wilson Mutida. Give us any, yes. Yes?
Eradicate poverty.
Eradicating poverty. And then Caroline.
Okay. I think one is
Wilson.
yeah.
And once you speak, you mute yourself. Eh? Caroline, unmute yourself and speak and ensure that there is no noise. Yes, Caroline. Caroline Wachiko, you are unable to unmute.
So the
okay.
reduced
Yes.
child mortality.
What?
Reduced child mortality.
Reduce child mortality. Okay. Let's hear Samuel Buire. Samuel Bwire, very fast you unmute and then you mute yourself.
Yeah.
Sam,
Yes, am I clear?
eh?
Are you getting me from your end?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a contribution and say education for all.
Education for all. It is a Millennium Development Goal. We will see. Then Dorika Kerubo. Once you speak, you mute yourself because I can hear some noise in the background. Dorika. So, one of you have mentioned about eradication of poverty. It is one of the MDGs, that is Millennium Development Goals. That one of them, the Millennium Development Goals was to eradicate poverty and hunger. I don't know whether we have been able to eradicate poverty because these Millennium Development Goals were to be achieved by 2015, and now we are in 20 what? Eh? We are in 20 what, Jeremiah? Musem. Have we managed to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger?
To some extent.
According to you? Okay. To some extent, we have been able to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, but we still find that there are people who are living in extreme poverty. And sometimes we have had people dying of hunger. The other one was to achieve universal primary education. Education for all. Somebody mentioned that. Have we achieved that? Yes, Teacher Josiah, have we achieved that? Have we achieved that in Kenya? Unmute yourself. When I mentioned your name, you should unmute yourself, yes?
Yes.
Have we achieved that?
Yes.
What have we done? What have we done in our country?
Education is
yes.
In all primary free education is almost over.
Free primary education is being offered, especially in all public schools. Primary schools, we find that the education is free. To promote gender equality and empowering women. Have we managed to empower women? And have we achieved gender equality? Can we have Elizabeth Hireri tell us? What are we doing? Elizabeth. Are you able to speak? Then we can have a Boge, Philip. The third is to promote gender equality and empowering women. Have we done anything about it? Yes.
Can I chip in, madam?
Yes, go ahead and tell us your name.
Okay, this is Mr. Diambo.
Okay, you are using, you
I
need
am,
to name your gadget.
It is named.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I want to state here without any fear of contradiction that we have really strived as a country to achieve gender equality. If you look at the kind of the public primary schools, most of the heads have come to realize that they're actually female. Most of the big schools, not only in town, but not only in Nairobi, but also in major towns, most of them are headed by women. Allow me to say use that. And then when talk about now in terms of the learners, you realize that girl child, generally the number of girls in Kenya are more than the number of boys. That is what I mean. And you can see that the girls have been always given a lot of importance and attention, even in the terms of their personal hygiene. Most of the organizations, you find that they are more concerned with ladies or girls for that matter more than the boys. So if you look at it in totality, then you come to realize that at least to some extent you have achieved a sort of gender equality in terms of education. Thank you.
Very good, Obiambo. We find that very many initiatives have been put in place to ensure that women or girls are participating in education. And we realize that girls are coming up now to an extent of even over exceeding the boy child. So I think now we should just come up with with another goal on how we are going to do, what we are going to do about the boy child. To reduce child mortality rates, have we achieved that? Or what are we doing? Stacy Masaka, you can comment on that. We have had also initiatives to ensure that the children survive. For example, we find that we have maternity care for the mothers, and this also helps to improve maternal health of the parents of the pregnant mothers. Then also the issue of goal 6 to combat HIV and AIDS, and then malaria and other diseases. We find that we have had a lot of initiatives towards the fight against HIV/AIDS. We realize that deaths from HIV/AIDS have reduced drastically. Also, places where we have malaria, we have had the government coming in and working towards the prevention of malaria by also supplying nets. Then to ensure environmental sustainability. Anybody who can talk about ensuring environmental sustainability, have we been able to achieve this? Collins Kipyegon. Collins, are you able to unmute yourself? Or we can have Peter Karori.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, go ahead, Peter, and talk about how we have tried to ensure environmental sustainability. Have we achieved it? We were to achieve it by 20?
Yeah, we have tried because most of the schools we have launched the tree planting initiatives, whereby you have to give the data of how many trees you have planted each term, and you put them in the online, and you say how you are taking care of them. So in terms of environmental sustainability, we have tried, starting from the higher, that is the president initiative, up to the school level. Thank you.
Yes, Karori. And then we had a target for the whole country. How many billions were we to plant? Can you remember how many billions?
I think it is around 3 billion or 30. Not sure.
Not sure. Anybody who can assist Karori? Ed Namora, your hand is up. And after you respond, you can put down your hand so that I can know those people who would want to contribute. So we find that our country has been trying to ensure that there is an environmental sustainability by ensuring that we take care of the environment. And first of all, there is this initiative of planting of trees, which is being spearheaded by the head of state, whereby we are required to plant how many trees? Now, okay, you have raised your hand. Will you unmute yourself? Is it 30 billion trees? It is important that you get to know how many trees that we are targeting. And then now it has been cascaded to all the institutions. Every other institution in Kenya is also given a target so that they plant trees, so that we ensure that we conserve the environment, so that also we are able to overcome the challenges that we are facing as a result of climate change. The other MDGs, MDG number 8, to develop a global partnership for development. So those are the
Rebecca, you have muted yourself.
okay. So I'm saying that we have the EFA goals, and this is also an international initiative. Maybe you can assist me mute the background noise. And also this one was launched in Jomte in Thailand. It was launched a long time ago, maybe before some of you were born, in 1990. And this was to bring the benefit of education to every citizen in every society. Are you able to get the person who is unmuted? Yes, so this initiative was to bring the benefit of education to every citizen in every society, including those who were not able to acquire education when they were young. They can be able to access adult education. So each and every child is supposed to access education regardless of their age. And in order to realize this, we find that there was a broad coalition of national governments, also civil society groups, also development agencies such as UNESCO, and also World Bank. They committed themselves to achieve the education for all goals. So we find that this is a movement, it is a global commitment to provide quality basic education for all children, for the youth and even the adults. So each and everyone is supposed to acquire education. They are not supposed to be prevented from acquiring education. So these EFA goals are intended to, first of all, to expand and improve early childhood care and education. That was the first aim, especially for the children who are disadvantaged and those who are vulnerable. And again, to ensure that by 2015, all children, particularly the girls, because they are taken to be vulnerable, and also those in difficult circumstances, and those who belong to ethnic minorities, they access education. They all access education, they have access to education, they are able to complete education. Therefore, education should be made free and compulsory. So that is why you realize that in Kenya, primary education has been free. I don't know how quality it has been, but it has been free. So this is in line with the EFA goals. Then number 3, these EFA goals seeks to ensure that learning needs of all young people and adults are met. That is through equitable access to appropriate learning and also life skills programs. So we realize that our education system seeks to ensure that our young people, they access education. Those who were not able to access education while young, they also can be able to get into the education and learn even at their age, so that they get life skills, so that they are able to live in this country and in this economy. The other one is to achieve a 50% improvement in adult literacy by 2015. So literacy levels, I don't know whether we have achieved 50%, but this is another aim for the effort, whereby adults by 2015, that is especially for women, because they are the disadvantaged. They were supposed to have achieved literacy, and literacy is the ability to read and write, and also equitable access to basic and continuing education for all adults. The other one is to ensure that we eliminate gender disparities in primary, not only in primary, but also secondary by 2005. And that is why we also find that there is free the secondary education, just trying to achieve this effort goal. And this also is to also help the country achieve gender equality in education by 2015. And as one of you have said, we realize that the girls are coming up in our education system. We find that they are well represented in most of our counties. So we find that we have equal access and achievement in our education system. So we also realize that the basic education quality has improved. And this was another aim of the EFA goals. The other one is to improve all aspects of quality education by ensuring excellence of all, so that recognized and measurable learning outcomes are achieved. And those outcomes include literacy, that is the ability to read and write, numeracy, that is the ability to carry out simple mathematics, and also to acquire essential life skills. So those are some of the aims of the EFA. Then we have the new Partnership for African Development, the NEPAD. This one also was for the new Partnership for African Development, NEPAD. This one also is an economic development program of the African Union. And the NEPAD was adopted at the 37th session of the Head of States. The heads of state had met, and in July 2001, in Lusaka, Zambia, that is when they passed this NEPAD. And its aim was to promote sustainable development, also aiming at reducing poverty and integrating Africa into the global economy. And to some extent, I believe we have met this. And although it was for a long time ago, that is July 2001, we keep on having other international and regional laws that replace these old ones whenever we realize that we have not met the goal that we intended to. So we also need to look at the Kenya Vision 2030. This one is now national. We have looked at NEPAD, which is African. Then we have the Kenya Vision 2030, which is for our country, Kenya. What is this Vision 2030? What does it talk about? This is a blueprint, and it seeks to ensure that Kenya, or our country, is globally competitive, and also ensure that it is prosperous, and also a nation with a high quality of life by 2030. So we are approaching 2030. And this Kenya Vision 2030, it aimed at transforming Kenya into a newly industrializing middle-income country. So its intention was to ensure that Kenya becomes industrialized middle-income country, which is providing a high quality of life to all its citizens in a clean and secure environment. We are in the progress of achieving this, and the Kenya Vision 2030 was to be implemented in successive 5-year medium-term plan. And the first such plan, it covered the period between 2008 up to 2015. You realize those are 5 years which have already passed. The next term was covering 2012 to 2017. And then the other one, 2018. And this will continue until 2030. Until 2030. And we have pillars of this Vision 2030. There are 3 of them. We have the economic pillar, we have the social pillar, and we also have the political pillar. These are the 3 pillars of the Vision 2030. And the economic pillar, we find that it aims at improving the prosperity of all Kenyans through economic development programs. And this is to cover all regions of Kenya. So the aim of this pillar is to achieve an average gross domestic product of growth of 10% per annum. And that was to begin in 2012. Then the social pillar, Kenya was aiming to build a just and cohesive society with social equity in a clean and secure environment. And then a political pillar, which aims to realize a democratic political system founded on issue-based politics that respect the rule of law. That is why you realize that in Kenya, we respect our courts, because it is important to respect the rule of law, because that is what this Vision 2030 aimed at. And also protects the rights and freedom of every individual in Kenyan society. So those are the pillars of the Vision 2030. It is important that we get to go through the Vision 2030 before we get to its expiry in 2030 and see what we have been able to achieve and what we are yet to achieve, and how the education system is doing to ensure that we achieve the Kenya Vision 2030. The other units that we are going to look at is policy and legal frameworks of education. And here, the unit looks into policy and legal frameworks of education sector in Kenya, that is, then the implications of the Constitution of Kenya, and then various education acts of parliament that we have had, the national education philosophy, the goals and the objectives, the policy and also the legal frameworks of rights-based education. So in this, we also have the objectives of this unit. We need to understand the implication of the Constitution of Kenya to our education system. Does it have an implication to our education system? And then we also discussed the legal frameworks of education, because we said that they are the ones that guide our education.
Madam
they are the
Rebecca,
ones that, yes?
I think there is some participants with the question before you proceed.
Okay.
I think it's from the previous presentation.
You could read it.
They have raised their hands. I think they can express themselves.
Okay.
Josek, can you go ahead? Josek.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, my question is, I'm Joseph Opande from Godi. Going
Yes,
through
raise your voice, please.
I'm saying,
Yes.
Going through the goals that we have gone through, that is the EVA goals, the Millennium Development Goals, and even
Can you kindly check on your background? Mr. Joseph?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. I was just asking now the goals that we have gone through. I tend to think that they were supposed to be achieved long time ago. I'm just asking a question to our facilitator. What's really happening? Because we are talking of 2015 and yet much has not been done and we are in 2024. So what are some of these bottlenecks that are actually making this goal not be achieved? Thank you.
Very good. That is a good question. And at least I believe you have the answers, each one of us. We know that these goals, it is true, there were supposed to be some of them to be achieved by 2015. Although in the beginning we said that some of them, the country is trying to achieve them. And various participants have given some of the ways in which our country is trying to achieve them. And maybe I could give some of you to comment about the question that has just been raised. Damaris, will you say something? Damaris Kemani, unmute yourself.
My concern, I have a concern and also the answer to the question.
Yes.
One, you are very fast to remove the slide. Some of us are taking small notes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the answer to his question, I think there is a lot of wastage of resources in the country. So some of the things cannot be achieved with the mass embezzlement of funds.
Okay. And it is important that we give a solution, suggest a solution. What can we do? We start from our institution by ensuring that we curb corruption so that whatever little we have, we can use it into achieving the goals. Any other person with a comment? Then about the notes, don't worry about them. The notes are on, they are in our portal. So as I said in the beginning, you will be able to get into our virtual campus and get all the notes, comprehensive ones. But it is okay. I will try to be to move slowly, although you realize we are going to cover a whole module in 2 hours. Yes, somebody else? Athiabo? Athiabo? Do you want to comment? I can see your hand is up.
Yes, madam, I want to comment.
Yes.
Now, this is Emo Diambo. I like to tell to help solve this problem or give my contribution in that the goals of education are set to be met, just like myself, yourself, and any other person. I think we have got some goals that we ought to have met by the end of this year. And when I go back to my diary, I can see that I have not met most of them. I've tried to meet some of them, what I was intending to achieve this year. So just like in education sector, the goals which are falling under EFA, Millennial, Kenya Vision 2030, most of them have not been met, and that is normal. That is why we need to go back to our institutions and improve on the areas that perhaps we did not do very well come next year. So the goals must not be set like we are going to achieve 100% of them instantly. It is a continuous process. Thank you.
Thank you. It is a continuous process. And again, you realize that the government, we also have other legal frameworks that are being formulated even after we have those ones that have expired, and they are ensuring that whatever we did not achieve is captured in the legal documents that we are going to look at. Now we are going to look at the current ones, and you will realize that also most of these issues are addressed. So again, another objective of this units is to understand the national education policies and discuss the policy and legal framework for rights-based education. So this is what we are going to look at in this unit. And the first legal document that we are going to look at is the National Constitution of Kenya, and it is the Constitution of the National Constitution and Education. What does the National Constitution of Kenya say about education? The Constitution of Kenya 2010. What does it talk about? Education. Does it give any guidelines about how our education system should be? The first thing that it talks about, you will realize that it talks about the right to education in Article 43. Article 43 of the Constitution, it states that every person has the right to education. So it is also for us as education managers to ensure that every person gets a right to attend school in our schools, whether it is a primary school or a secondary school. We are not supposed to prevent somebody from accessing education in our institutions. The other thing is devolution of education services. We find that in this Constitution of Kenya, it talks about, in the Kenya Constitution, the fourth schedule, that is Article 185, Part 2, 186, Part 1, 187, Part 2. These schedules address the distribution of the functions between the national and the county government. We know that there are some services that were devolved to the county government, and those that are remained in the national government. For example, who can tell us what was devolved? Is there anybody raising their hand? Munuve?
No one, unless he or she raised.
5 participants have raised their hands. I can
Wahogo,
see Wahogo, yes.
can you unmute yourself?
Yes,
Can you tell us?
they have devolved the ECD section.
Very good. They have devolved the ECD section to the county government. Do you have any other?
Susan? Mary Susan, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, we also have other services at the sub-county and county level, like the TSC and the Ministry of Education have sub-county directors who attend to the needs of the teachers at the devolved level.
Very good. So we have those that are in the counties, and we have others in the sub-counties. That is very good. Then also this Constitution of Kenya 2010 talks about good governance in the education sector. And this focuses on, this is talked about in Article 10, Part 1 of the Constitution. And it talks about the national values and principles of good governance. And we find that all organs are supposed to abide by the Article 10 of the Constitution. Also government officers, public officers, and everybody else is supposed to abide by Article 10 of the Constitution. That is issue to do with good governance. Good governance, the principles of good governance, which are stipulated in this article. And even institutions are supposed to ensure that there is good governance. And they are also even supposed to show, they're supposed to show how they are ensuring that there is good governance. The other thing that the Constitution of Kenya talks about is the role of science and indigenous technologies. That is in Article 11, Part 2, B and C of the Constitution, which recognizes the role of science and indigenous technology in the development of the national and promotion of intellectual property rights of the Kenyan people. And that is why you find that even in our education system, we are emphasizing the issue of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the CBC new curriculum. Then we realized that our institutions, the runners who are doing the CPC, when they choose their pathways, 60% of those runners are supposed to take the science, the STEM pathway. So it is important that us as education managers, we know that and we prepare our runners. We also prepare infrastructure. In Article 62, it talks about educational infrastructure. That is Article 62, 63, and 66. And it refers to public RAD, which will be vested in and held by a county government in trust for the people resident in the county. Then again, creation of the Teacher Service Commission. You know that the TSC is in the Constitution. And Article 237 of the Teacher Service Commission. Article 237 of the Constitution talks about TSC, which was accorded special status. It is an independent commission. So you realize that their mandate is stipulated, and that is management of teachers. Then we have the legal framework of education. And this section focuses on these education acts. We have 3 main education acts: the Basic Education Act 2013. We have the University Act 2012. We have Technical Vocational Education and Training Act 2013. We realize that some of these acts are usually revised from time to time, and especially the Basic Education Act is being revised, and soon we are going to have, we will be given the reforms that have been developed. Now, we have the education philosophy. And we find that many education subsectors of education focuses on acquisition of life skills and also lifelong learning, and on provision of holistic quality education and training. And again, we have the national education policies. This section, you will realize that it focuses on 3 themes. And these themes are namely policy evolution, the sessional papers that we have in education, and also the policies in education subsector. So again, when you get to a virtual campus, you will read about this. And then we have other policy and legal frameworks. And the government has entrenched the right to education in the Constitution, the Basic Education Act, the Children's Act, the Disability Act. We also have educational sessional paper number 1 of 2005. Then we have sessional paper number 14 of 2012. We have various education policies. All these, we are supposed to ensure that we know what they say or they talk about in education. And again, it is important that we look at the roles of education managers. Here in this unit, that is unit 3, different education managers play various roles to ensure that the education system runs smoothly. So we find that this is explained in this unit, and it also explains the legal mandate of education bodies. We have various bodies that we have in the education sector and their roles. Then we have the legal mandate of the national education institutions. And in this unit also, there is a discussion on the legal mandate of national education stakeholders. We have various stakeholders. And the highest education manager is the cabinet secretary. And we have the role of the cabinet secretary. The cabinet secretary, his role in promoting education includes one, providing free compulsory basic education to every child. That is one of the role of the cabinet secretary. And therefore, that is why we have said that in Kenya we have free primary, and we also have free day secondary. And this is in line with the role of the cabinet secretary. You realize that most of the time when an exam is done and the runners are transitioning, the cabinet secretary, especially the rates, we have the rates, Professor Magoha. We realized that he used to move around looking for those runners who have not yet reported to school, because that is his responsibility. And now, since we cannot be in every school because we are the education managers, we are supposed to ensure that those runners in our areas, in our regions, they access education, the free compulsory education. So again, it is the responsibility of the cabinet secretary to ensure compulsory admission and attendance of children of compulsory school age at school or in an institution offering basic education. So we find that we are not supposed to prevent runners from getting admissions into our schools, because that is another responsibility of the cabinet secretary. And we are working on behalf of him, and we are supposed to ensure that all runners get admitted to our schools without discriminating them. Then again, ensure that children belonging to marginalized, vulnerable, and disadvantaged groups are not discriminated against. We find that we have runners who come from marginalized regions, disadvantaged groups. We are supposed to ensure that they access education in our schools without discriminating them. And again, it is the responsibility of the cabinet secretary to provide human resource, including adequate teaching and non-teaching staff. So again, working together with other bodies, the responsibility of the cabinet secretary is to ensure that we have teachers, we have staff in those institutions. One of you talked about the county directors of education. You said that in the counties we have county directors. These county directors also, they have their role. And subject to the authority of the cabinet secretary, and also in consultation with the county government, they perform the following roles. First of all, they implement education policies. These education policies that are formulated by the government, they are the ones who assist in implementing them in the county level. These county directors also, they coordinate and also they supervise all education officers and support staff at the county level. That is the work of the county director. And we find that they manage basic education, manage continuing education, and also non-formal education in the county level. They also manage special need education, tertiary, and other educational programs in the county. And also they initiate education policies at the county level. Although we have the national policies, they also customize them and to be used in the counties. Then we have this other TSC County Director of Education. Again, this County TSC Director also have roles. They provide leadership. They also oversight in the TSC county offices, because that is where maybe county transfers are carried out. They oversee all this for effective service delivery. So they facilitate the processing of teachers' registration. It is employment of teachers. After they have been employed in the counties, they are the ones who forward their information. They are the ones who facilitate registration of teachers. They manage deployment of teachers. We find that counties, the county director is the one who facilitates the recruitment of teachers in consultation with the headquarters. So they coordinate teacher recruitment and they ensure that they follow the policies. They ensure that as they recruit the teachers, they are following the policies. They also undertake intra-county deployment to ensure staff balancing. So transfers within the county is dealt with by the TSC County Director. Then we have the responsibility or the roles of the heads of institution. This one includes even the principals of schools. And they are responsible for education policies and professional practices at the institutional level. So they are the ones who interpret the policies, and then they interpret and they implement them, and they ensure that we have professional practices. They also manage and implement institutional curriculum. They ensure that the curriculum is being implemented in the right way. Then we find that they assign duties to the teachers and even the non-teaching staff. And also they are supposed to teach. Although we find that heads of institutions, they don't take lessons. It is important that they also take a reasonable teaching workload so that they also experience what other teachers go through so that they can be able to assist from an informed position. Then performance of roles of secretary to the boards of management. So we find that the head teacher or the principal is the secretary to the boards. So whenever the boards are meeting, they're supposed to be present. They are the secretaries. So they write minutes. Also, we find that they manage and control finances. Although they do that in consultation with the boards of management. They also are responsible for procurement of goods and services. After the boards of management have approved the budgets, they are the ones who carry out the procurement. They have to come up with ad hoc committees that will help them in procurement. Then they provide direction for effective teaching. They are the ones who provide direction. For teaching to take place, they have to give direction on how it is going to be carried out. And even they are supposed to be role models. They are supposed to ensure they provide a conducive learning environment for the teachers. Then we have the sponsor. The sponsor of an institution, mostly the sponsors are usually the churches that are sponsoring the schools. And also we have others that are sponsored by the DEB. Therefore, the sponsor is the institution, and that makes a significant contribution to the academics, the finances, infrastructure, spiritual development of the institution. And some of the roles of these sponsors, first of all, we find that they are even involved in curriculum development they participate and they give their recommendations when their syllabus is being reviewed. They are very instrumental because in case they reject something that is in the curriculum, then it must be considered. They also recommend and they give recommendations on review of books. In case they go through a book and realize that the content is not appropriate, they give recommendations. They also give recommendations about the teaching aids. Then we find that they are represented in the BOMs and even in school management committees. These sponsors, they provide supervisory and advisory services. So they advise. And most of the time, they are the ones that give a spiritual nourishment to the learners. They give, they are supposed to ensure that we have, we need to engage them or involve them when we are coming up with the PPIs so that they can assist, they can give, maybe they provide people who can speak to these runners so as to safeguard the spiritual needs of these runners. Then the role of quality assurance and standards officers, the quality assurance and standards officers, the council. These people, they regularly report to the Ministry of Education on the quality of education. So they keep checking how the education, the quality of education that is being provided nationally, that is in the whole country. So they monitor the performance of teachers again, and even the institutions. They ensure that standards performance indicators are in place and they are being followed. So they also ensure that as schools, they have teachers. So they monitor whether we have equitable distribution of teachers. They assist in working out the curriculum-based establishment so as to know the number of teachers that are supposed to be in a particular school. So we find that these quality assurance standards, they carry out regular and full panel quality assurance and standards assessment. They also advise on provision of proper and adequate physical facilities. And also they check whether the curriculum is being implemented in the right way. Now, here we have a question that I want you to do in your own time. And maybe you will post in the portal. That is, you will be required to discuss the role of education managers in promoting education access, equity, and quality. And also these education managers, how they promote the right to education. That one you will do. Again, we have the mandate of education bodies. And one of the education bodies that we have is National Education Board. And the functions, we have various functions of the National Education Board. We find that they collaborate with the Quality Assurance and Standards Council, the Teacher Service Commission. They also work together with the teachers, with other stakeholders, just to promote the standards in education and training. They also work with relevant authorities, agencies, and they try to ensure that all the barriers to right to quality education are removed. They also set guidelines for approval by Cabinet Secretary on establishment of national of basic education institution. So, and we have the CEB. The CEB is the one that appoints the boards of management. So they oversee, in consultation with the county government, the operations and management of the youth polytechnics, pre-primary education, early childhood care education. And we also find that they coordinate and they monitor education and training in the county. That is on behalf of the national government. They are also responsible for interpreting the national policies in education. And again, they initiate proposal for policy reforms. And again, they plan, coordinate training and research in the county. And they do that according to the policies. Then we have the boards of management. Each school, that is pre-primary, primary, secondary, adult, continuing education centers, multipurpose, training institution, middle level institution, they are governed by the boards of management. And the first role of the BOM is to promote the best interest of the institution. So they ensure that there is development taking place in the institution. If it is a high school, if it is a primary school, they ensure that there is development of it in terms of infrastructure and in terms of many other programs. Teachers are there. They also promote quality education for all pupils. They also ensure and assure provision of proper and adequate physical facilities. So they ensure that we have enough classrooms. If it is laboratories, they are enough, and all physical facilities. And also they ensure that the institutions are managed well. The same case applies to management committees of the primary institution. And again, we have the Parents Association, which are also represented in the boards of management. Again, we have the mandate of the national educational institutions, such as the NEC. Maybe this one we can do it. We can have somebody telling us what is the work of the NEC. You can raise your hand. Can you see any raised hands?
Rara?
The work of the NEC.
What does the NEC do? Yes.
They set the exams and mark them for all classes.
The national exams, eh?
Yeah.
Yes. That is the summative assessment. They are the ones who set. They also organize for the
invigilation.
The invigilation, and also
Grading.
for grading.
Certification.
Very good, even certification. Then
Can
we
I
have
try?
Equalization.
Yes, you can go ahead.
They also advise and offer awards. They award the certificates, diplomas, and the degrees.
They offer degrees?
No.
Award certificate.
The certificates, yes, for basic education. Thank you. We have the KICD. Anybody who can tell us the mandate of KICD?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Can you go
Are
ahead?
you able to hear? I can't hear you.
The KICD is mandated to come up with a curriculum that befits the needs of the nation.
Okay, good, Nyauke. How about Francis? Francis Mzungu.
Yes, they come with the content. They come with the content and make sure the education is accessible and equitable to all.
They develop content. They also develop the instructional materials. They develop the curriculum. All that. Thank you. How about Kenya Education Management Institute? Do you know their mandate?
Kimwele, can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Mr. Kimwele? Mr.
Makori Onkoba.
Yes,
Yes.
Kemi plays a major role,
Uh-huh.
especially by providing training and programs, seminars, and workshops, and produce publication aimed at promoting managerial.
Very good. And mostly in education management. So the work is to capacity build education managers on matters to do with education management. They also carry out research and consultants. Kenya Institute of Special Education, what is their mandate?
Lucy? Lucy?
The Kenya Institute of Special Education has a mandate in ensuring that our learners with special needs have, first, the teachers are trained. Secondly, they are the ones who do the assessment and recommend placement of learners with special needs.
Very good. How about semester? Center for Mathematics, Science, Technology in Africa.
Evans?
Mm-hmm.
Evans, can you unmute yourself? Evans? Daniel Karanja, can you unmute yourself?
So the Center for Mathematics, Science, Technology, we know that their mandate is to ensure that teachers are capacity built on issues to do with science, technology, and mathematics. You remember they are the ones who are in charge of training in Semase. So again, we have Kenya Literature Bureau, and also we have the Jomo Kenyatta Foundation. Those are all bodies that you need to know what they do. We have even the School Equipment Production Unit, SEPU. We have the National Commission for UNESCO, NATCOM, the National Commission for Science, Technology, and Innovation. This one is in charge of giving licenses for research. Then we have Technical, Industrial, Vocational, and Entrepreneurship Training, Commission for University Education, Higher Education Rules Board, National Biosafety Authority. Those ones you will read on your own. So you need to discuss the legal mandate of national educational institutions, all those institutions. Then we have the KESHA. KESHA, you know its mandate. What does KESHA do? Kenya Secondary School Heads Association. We know it is a professional organization and it comprises of the principals, that is those in public and those in public. And it was established in the late 1960s. And it provides professional advice for its members. And there are so many responsibilities for them, and you will find them also in the Basho campus. Then we have KEPSHA, Kenya Primary School Heads Association. This one is association for the primary school heads. And also again, it promotes and voices the interest of its members. So we find that it coordinates educational activities, that is with educational officers in all counties as regards to the primary school. There are several of them, so again you will find them in the Basho campus. Then the NAT, we know also it is a trade union, and it is registered under the Trade Unions Act, Cap 233 of the laws of Kenya. This unites the teachers together and it fights for the terms and conditions of teachers. And we have many other responsibilities. So again, you need to discuss the significance of this, of the stakeholders in promoting education access. This one, I think I gave you at some point. Again, you are required to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of these stakeholders in education management matters. We find that they are important for the smooth running of the institutions. And now I want to welcome my colleague, Mr. Simon. Mr. Simon, are you on board? Simon? Mr. Simon will take us through the next part. Maybe I need to mute myself. Maybe as we wait for Simon to
Thank
get
you.
in. Okay, you are in. Eh?
Thank you, Rebecca. Now I wish
Okay.
to request you to have the presentation on because
Okay.
I'm having some technical challenges at my side, on my side. So that you can scroll for me. And
All right.
due to the time remaining, I'll be a little bit fast so that we can accomplish the day's objectives. So colleagues, participants, my name is Simon Katia and I work for Kenya Education Management Institute. I've been with you behind the scenes with Madam Rebecca as we were going through the various, the first 3 units in this module. And as you have realized, there is no way that we can be able to give you the nitty-gritties of the module. What we are providing for you are just highlights on the various aspects of this module. Now, you've laid, Madam Rebecca has laid the foundation on some of the basic legal frameworks in education. And going forward from unit 4 all the way to unit number 7, unit number 7, we look at some other aspects. Actually, the first 3 units, we look at some legal frameworks, and then the last one, we shall look at some of the pertinent issues that we need to be concerned with in as far as the education arena is concerned. I wish to just highlight on what these units cater for in this module. As I've just mentioned, we will not go into the details. We have the materials on the LMS, which you're supposed to access. Remember, this is a blended learning program. Therefore, we are supposed to give you the highlights, and then you go back to the LMS, get into the deeper aspects of the program, and eventually you'll be able to attempt the assignments and also the final exams. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to get directly into unit number 4. Now, this unit, just to expose you to it, covers legal frameworks on public resource management. Public resource management. Now, I would like us to just open up, to have an opening activity. I would like us to go to our charts. I'll be able to read your charts from the platform I'm using. I would like us to get into our charts and try to put across, or just to communicate, the kind of resources that we utilize in education. Because as you are aware, in the education sector, we produce by adding value to our learners. But what kind of resources are required to be able to produce this value to our learners? Maybe you could go to your chart and indicate the kind of resources that we have, the larger, I can see Julia is talked about human resource, Frederick Odhiambo, human resource. We have running materials here by Sitandi Edwin. Mwadoe Mzungu is talking of human capital, finances by Muhendi. Akara is talking of financial resources, yes. We have infrastructure. Lady N. Ruth talks about learning materials, capitation by Galaxy A12. Please, I wish that we could name your gadget using your name so that we can be able to identify you as your views. Odhiambo talking of consumables, physical infrastructure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. For those contributions. Learning resources, ICT labs by Jane. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We can proceed. So you see that we have quite a number of resources that we utilize in education. We have financial, we have human resources. We even have time. By the way, even time, which is a great resource that we utilize in education. So we're going to look at how the legal framework that guide the utilization of these resources, because it's critical that we understand. Because as we move on to become managers, as we manage our institutions, as we manage our departments and our classrooms, how are we supposed to? What guides us in utilization of these resources? Maybe we can move on, Rebecca. Now, in as far as resources are concerned, one of the key resources, as you have seen from the responses from our colleagues, is the utilization of finances. Now, in utilizing finances, when you go into the module, you'll be able to understand how the legal frameworks, the various documents that have been developed to guide us in managing our financial resources. Now, you'll get to understand the principles that guide management of financial resources, like the principles of openness and accountability, for example, the principle of sharing of national revenue among all members of the public, because these are public resources. So this is one of the areas that you'll be able to get in touch with and understand the principles and the frameworks of financial management. Now, you'll also be able to look at issues of, for example, another principle of an equalization fund, that our government utilizes, so that all areas of this great republic can benefit from the funds that are provided by the government. Now, we also be able to understand how fiscal decentralization operates. As you're aware, we have a constitution, the one that we promulgated in 2010, and this constitution talks a lot about fiscal decentralization, distribution of funds across our country, so that we can promote development. Now, in terms of education, we know, for example, that we have decentralization of some funds that go into. I heard you talk about TVET, TVET education. I heard you talk about early childhood education, which have been developed. So these areas of education, these sectors of education are provided with resources, with decentralized resources, so that they can also be able to grow. And this is provided through the devolved units of our government. So this is another area. We also provide, our country also provides financial controls. These funds are utilized, they're utilized within some parameters that have been set by the government, by ourselves on our institutions. These are the financial controls that we have put in place. Now we have various various controls. For example, you've heard of issues of audit, where we audit utilization of financial resources so that they are not, our funds are not misused. Now, I've seen a lot of people who are critical on the forum, which is very good. We are very critical. When we talk about having financial controls, we are not saying that funds are not misappropriated in our systems, but we want to get a knowledge on financial controls, so that as we manage our education, we can be able to take measures so that we can control use of these resources. Now we have financial laws like the Public Finance Management Act. We have the Audit Act. We have the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015. These are laws that have been put in place to manage public finance in our sector, in our education sector. Now, most of the finance acts are not specific to education, but they are generally meant to manage public finances. So when we talk about Public Finance Management Act, we're not talking about Public Finance Management Act in education, but Public Finance Management Act that controls public finance management in the entire public. Now, we also have national financial officers. Now, we need to also be aware of the roles of the various financial officers, like the auditors, like the accounting officers, the officers in charge of the central bank. What are their roles? What the role of the PS, for example, in managing, being the accounting officer in the Ministry of Education? These are national financial management officers. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be aware of how these officers function in the Ministry of Education. And again, we also need to understand more about the national financial institutions. For example, the Salaries and Administration Committee, Commission rather. We need to understand about the Central Bank of Kenya. These financial institutions that govern public finances in our country. Now, going forward, you notice that in the module we have also captured the international, regional, and also the international and national framework that guide the human resource management. Now, one of the major resources that is utilized in education is the human resource. Now, in it we have the bulk of the human resource, of human capital, that's the teachers. We also have the non-technical staff, those who support teachers in delivering their mandate. And we do have quite a number of international frameworks that guide this important resource. For example, we do have the ILO, International Labour Organization. Yeah, we have talked about the East African community, for example. It has within the East African community we have clauses that guide in management of your human resource. We also have national frameworks that guide human resource management. One of the best, the most critical framework is our constitution. It talks very well about employment issues in our country, guiding on how we manage our human resource. We have labor laws such as the Labor Relations Act. We have Labor Institutions Act. We have Employment Act. Work Injury Benefits Act, and NSSF, or nowadays we have NSSF Act. We have Persons with Disability Act of 2003, and so on and so forth. So all these are frameworks that need to be understood by us, and we understand how they function in managing human resources. So as you can see, we do have quite a variety of frameworks. Others that I've not mentioned include the Vision 2030 you had mentioned earlier on. Vision 2030. We have session paper number 4 of 2013 on employment policy and strategy for Kenya that guides on the strategies that the country need to take. These strategies are already in action. They're already being utilized. So we need to go back to the drawing board and understand how these policies guide in management of human resources in our country. Remember, when you function as an education manager, you'll always have teams under you that enable you to function in your unit, whether it's a department, whether it's an institution. You need to have human resources, and therefore you need to understand how you govern that team using legally established frameworks. Now, we also have institutional frameworks that you'll understand, that you'll encounter, that guide us. For example, the PSC is one of them. We have in the teaching fraternity, we have Teacher Service Commission is also critical in managing human teaching force in our country, and so on and so forth. So these are the institutions we are talking about that guide in management of our education sector. Having said so, maybe we could move on, Rebecca. We could move on so that we can move along with our participants. Now, we have had quite a number of reforms recently that have been observed to have occurred in as far as management of resources is concerned. For example, in management of human resource, you've seen, for example, teachers have been moved to IPPD. You've seen this happen from some time back when we had the TSC moving teachers to IPPD. This is a national activity that is even involving other employees in other government sector, other public bodies. Now, we also have integrated financial management information system, or what we call INFMIS, that tends to consolidate management of financial resources, so that, for example, if it's payments, they are paid, they are done from a central point. So those reforms have been instituted so that our country can save on this vital resource. For example, we can save on finances. We can save on how we manage our human resource, and so on and so forth. Again, we also have the pension management information system, or PMIS, which guides in or which controls the management of pension within the public sector. This ensures that our senior citizens do have something to fall back to once they are retired from active service, and their funds are well guarded. Now, we have also seen issues of modernization of tax. We had tax reforms in our country, which has brought about correction of taxes. Now, I know those who are critical among us may be asking, maybe criticizing, where do these taxes go? Definitely, they go into provision of services, and that is why you find that the government insists on widening the tax bracket so that we can be able to have more taxes, and thereby resulting in the provision of better services throughout the country. Let's move on. We move on. Okay. The other area that's of great concern to us is in the area of ICT integration in education. We know that of late we've had quite a robust discussion in as far as ICT integration is concerned. In most of our capacity building activities, we have integration of ICT, ICT integration in teaching and learning, ICT integration in management of institutions, and so on and so forth. So in this unit, you'll be exposed to the legal framework for ICT integration. You'll be exposed to the policy framework for ICT integration that guides on how ICT need to be integrated. And in this case, you'll find quite a number of documents which have been developed so as to guide in the integration of ICT in education. Let's move on. For example, you notice that our Vision 2030 is a critical document that talks about ICT integration in education. Now, you'll also notice that there's some clauses within the national ICT policy that was developed in 2006 that guides in implementation of ICT in our education sector. Now, we need to understand that this policy is the one that guides the entire republic in all sectors, be it health, be it education. All sectors are guided by this policy, which was developed so that it can be able to guide the entire country in as far as ICT integration is concerned. So the ICT policy is very critical, and you need to understand what it provides. One of the issues that you could have noticed is that the government is also trying to initiate strategies that would incorporate electronic government services, or what we call e-government policies. Strategies in the management of our institutions across the country. So this is meant to ensure that there is automation of services, and that is why you find that most of the services that are being offered, even within education, for example, you can be able to check on a learner's performance under CBC. You can tell they are in grade 5, they are in grade 3, just by clicking a button on your computer. So these are some of the areas that are being improved through using ICT as we try to modernize the government services, as we try to make government services more efficient. As you have seen in other sectors, for example, in applying for DL, driving licenses, applying for a passport, applying for various government services, all this is being done via electronic platforms, and this forms part of what we call e-government in our country. It is still at nascent stage, it's still growing, and eventually we'll have this being a big thing, going back by even the world standards. Let's move on. Let's move on. I think I've mentioned this. Yes, let me mention about this documents, the sessional paper number 14 of 2012, sessional paper number 1 of 2005, and then I also need to mention about the National ICT Strategy in Education and Training of 2006, and this is now a very specific document to education, and more so the content of that strategy. A national ICT strategy in education and training was captured better has been captured better in the education strategy plan, which has been developed by the Ministry of Education, indicating strategies that the government is taking, or that the government will be stressing on, so as to ensure that education embraces ICT in all areas. Be it classroom teaching, be it management, be it management of exams, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the important policy papers that you need to understand, that you need to read through and understand how they talk about specifically with regards to ICT implementation in our country. It's more so in education. Let's move on. Some of the reforms that you must have noted. This is as teachers, we must have seen this in our education, in the education sector. We have developed ICT integration model, the we have the TPAC model that ensures that there's integration in a systematic manner of ICT in education. And we have also created certain arms of government in the Ministry of Education to ensure that there's appropriate integration of ICT in various areas of our education sector. This will ensure that we make education more efficient, reach more. For example, even reaching those who are those who are not underprivileged. For instance, by instituting ICT, internet facilities in the remote areas, we can even have, for example, common classrooms, being shared by those schools in the rural areas and those in the urban centers, thereby distributing learning resources across the entire landscape, education landscape. Let's move on. The Economic Stimulus Program, or ESP, is one of the areas that really put a lot of emphasis on ICT integration. It is part of the implementation of this program was in integration of ICT. And this is where you found schools being provided with ICT facilities, internet, infrastructure such as computers, iPad, tablets, for example, and other gadgets so as to enhance ICT integration. And this was the basis of the ICT integration program, or the famous, or should I say infamous, laptop programs that was instituted in the last regime. Though its success is debatable, but the intention was very, very, very good. Those who initiated the program had great intentions. And going forward, we have seen the impact of that program, because most of the schools currently do have ICT infrastructure. When we walk around the schools and as we train, nowadays we don't even have to carry our projectors. We can access a projector in any nearby primary school or junior school or even a secondary school. So these are some of the impacts that we may not see, on the surface, but they are there. Deep in our schools, we know we have some level of ICT integration. Let's move on, Rebecca. Okay. Now, the last area, or the last issue that we need to look at concerns integrity and good governance. As we are aware, we have quite a number of reforms, quite a number of documents or legal frameworks that guide this area. As you read through the module within this unit, you'll be able to understand better the concept of integrity and governance. And this touches a lot on our work as teachers, integrity and governance. What legal frameworks guide that? You'll also be able to understand the malpractice that may hinder integrity and good governance, because when we talk about integrity and good governance, what comes to our mind, or what comes to our tongues, is mainly the opposite of it, the malpractices that hinder integrity and good governance. And we are aware that we have a long way to go, and we are utilizing education as a tool that can help us in eradicating the vices. So it is good that as teachers for us to understand the various frameworks that guide in developing integrity and good governance in our country, starting from our education institutions. We also look at how we can apply the principles of integrity and good governance. Like, for example, usage of the Mwongozo, the famous document called Mwongozo, to guide us in good governance. We're going to discuss the legal frameworks of integrity and good governance, what guides us, and so on and so forth. Let's move on. Now, we may not be able to, I don't want us to get into a discussion on what integrity and good governance is all about, but I would like us to have a look at the malpractices. Move to the next slide. The malpractices that may hinder good governance. Now, we are aware, as Kenyans, we are aware some of the major malpractices that hinder integrity and good governance. But have we ever thought about the small issues that may hinder integrity and good governance? Leave alone bribery, leave alone bribery, leave alone major scandals, like the ones we are all aware that are in the public domain. What about the small issues of integrity that may arise within our school environment, within our education sector, that may tarnish the name of a good sector? For example, a teacher vacating office and giving fake results. That is lack of integrity. That's lack of integrity. Or a head of an institution, a HOI, failing to guide the school in the right direction, not following the correct governance structures in the school and providing guidance. These are some of the issues that we are talking about. So it may not be a grandiose, such a major integrity issues, but we are talking about the small things that happen daily in our institutions that may bring about lack of integrity and poor governance in our institutions. So we are talking about issues like conflict of interest, where, for example, you may find a teacher, for instance, having interests that conflict with the interest of the school. A good example can be maybe the teacher operates an M-Pesa, a shop maybe near the school, and they may spend more time in their M-Pesa shop than more time that they spend in the school preparing for lessons. Or managing, you spend more time on your business than managing that institution that you manage or managing that department. So that's an area that can bring about conflict of interest, and so on and so forth. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about integrity. What are some of the frameworks that guide in management of integrity? We have, for example, the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, and we have various policies that have been developed by the Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, and these are some of the documents that we need you to get in touch with so that you can be able to discern some of the areas of integrity that need to be worked on in our system, because as agent of change, we need to work on such. Causes of corruption, if you can move on, Rebecca, may include, for example, just move on, may include weak governance structures. You may have weak governance structures in our institutions. Our boards may not be working properly, but as educators, we can guide in such areas where we notice that there are weak governance structures. We can also establish such so that our structures are strong enough in managing our instructions. Also, issues of remuneration. When people are poorly remunerated, this can be avenues of corruption. They can be avenues of corruption. Maybe you can move on the slides. Weak law enforcement, by us leaders in the education sector. We fail to enforce the law as it is. We fail to capture the provisions of our legal framework, and that this may lead to corruption activities in our institutions. And this, ladies and gentlemen, could be one of the causes of, like recently we had exams. You saw some issues where teachers were implicated in the exam cheating. So these are some of the things we're talking about. Weak law enforcement. Managers fail to enforce the law accordingly, and this may bring about corruption, lack of integrity. in our institutions. And when integrity lacks in our institutions, I know that all resorting issues within our institutions are deemed to be corrupt. For example, even certificates that we offer to our learners, they may seem deemed to be products of corruption. Therefore, they may not be in the face of other our judges, they may not pass the test of time. Let's move on. The last unit in this module is on what I may call not really emerging issues, but pertinent. I like calling them pertinent issues because some of them may no longer be emerging. Pertinent issues in education. These are issues of concern, issues that raises eyebrows when they are mentioned. And as educators, I don't need to go into the details of these issues, but we need to understand that they are important to us as educators. We need to understand how they are generated. For example, issues of gender bias in our education system. Right now, we have an emerging issue that have come up. In fact, even today we had some demonstrations in Nairobi on femicide, the killing of our girl children in our society. Gender biased issues, gender based violence. These are emerging issues. We have HIV and AIDS, which is a pertinent issue. It has been with us for quite some time, but is an issue of concern because we have amongst us as teachers, there are some of us who are living with the condition. We are living with the condition. We have learners, in our schools living with the condition. How can we handle these issues? How can we handle our colleagues? How can we handle our learners? How can we handle even relatives at home, who we live with, so that these issues don't affect our delivery, they don't affect our education. We have issues of alcohol and drug abuse, especially alcohol. When you talk of alcohol and teachers, becomes a very pertinent issue because we have quite a number of our teachers in rehabilitation centers. How can we work on such an area, pertinent issues like alcohol and drug abuse, so that we prevent our teachers getting into or getting absorbed into such issues. Now, currently we have an issue that is emerging, the issue of an environmental issue, for example, that we are aware of, is the issue of climate change, which has resulted even in legal frameworks being crafted to guide on how we can curb issues of climate change. As you are aware, all our schools are supposed to participate in curbing these menace. It's a global menace. We can participate by planting of trees. We can participate in establishing tree nurseries that we distribute to our communities, and so on and so forth. By so doing, we engage our learners, we engage our teachers, we engage the communities around us, so that we participate fully in the process. So these issues are key. They are key to our schools, and we need to understand them. And these issues are not the ones listed, are not only the ones that are listed in Unit 7. We'll have many issues coming up. And therefore, by the time you'll be maybe sitting for your exams, maybe we'll be talking of other issues. So you need to keep your ears on the ground and understand the trends, what is going on, so that you can understand the various areas, various issues that are coming up, and be able to see how we can mitigate against these pertinent issues in the education sector. So we do have quite a number of legal provisions that have been established. And now we have policies in the education sector under the Ministry of Education. We have policies on HIV and AIDS. We have environmental policies that have been developed. For example, the one that deals with that is the environmental management. We call it environmental management authority. That guides in management of and even sanctions those who are abusing our environment. So we do have various policies and bodies that help in environmental management, and we are bringing this now down to the school level so that we can be able to operationalize these frameworks, touching on various issues like gender issues in our schools. By employing their provisions, we'll be able to guide our institutions to better heights in as far as management of these pertinent issues is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it is late. I would not have liked to go beyond 7. I would have wished that we have more interactions, but all the same, I know that you're going to interact with the LMS, the content of the LMS. That's very critical. In case you encounter any issue, kindly get in touch with our ICT team, who will be able to guide you on how to get onto the LMS, get access to the materials. We are these presentations are posted on the LMS. You can actually even download and read on the go offline. That's the beauty of the LMS. At the same time, you can also be able to you'll be guided on the LMS on the assignments that you're supposed to undertake. Ensure that you start undertaking those assignments as soon as possible, so that you don't have a backlog of these assignments going forward. Otherwise, I was to say that I'm grateful. You have instructions from our ICT team that you fill the attendance forms, which has been posted on the chat. Kindly don't leave the meeting before you fill that form, because that indicates that you have attended this session. And remember, tomorrow we also have another session that will be focusing on module 2, I believe so. That it will be focusing on module 2. Be seated by 5 so that you can commence the class then. Otherwise, I want to say thank you so much for your persistence. Thank you for even putting up with my lack of direct control of the screening device. Technically, these gadgets can fail us. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Rebecca, maybe you can wind up. Yes.
Thank you, Simon. I think we can wind up with a word of prayer, but before we pray, I can see Christina and Dennis are raising their hand. Christina, you can set up something, and then Dennis. And also ensure that you fill the registration. The attendance form is on the charts. You click on it and fill. Christina, what do you have to say?
Yes, I'm asking a question on pertinent and contemporary issues. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you very well.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ngatia. My concern is we had this activity, and it seems it is a bit complicated to me about the making the policy for HIV and AIDS policy in our institution. How are we going to go about it? Are we following the one in the national HIV and AIDS policy, please, for clarification?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You said your name is?
Christina Kiveka.
Okay, Christina. Thank you so much for the
I
question.
mean that activity, please. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, in all the activities that we have given in this program,
yes,
the assumption is that as teachers, we are being introduced to learning to learn.
Yes. Yes.
Making advantage of taking advantage of the information that is available. It could be available on textbooks, could be available on the internet. We have various search engines that you can search from. You can come up with a framework, with a template of a policy, and then you contextualize that policy to your school.
Okay.
For example, in the module, I know you are given the template of a policy. A policy should have these sections. So what you do is you just take, and a policy is a policy. Doesn't matter whether it's an ICT policy or is or is discipline policy or HIV policy. The sections are the same. The sections are all the same. It's just about you contextualizing that policy to your school or to your department.
Okay. So
Yes,
I should
thank you so
follow
much.
the way it is, the table of contents, and then I go to chapter 1, chapter 2, and the references.
Absolutely
You mean
correct.
that?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you
thank you.
for your time. Thank you so much.
Asante.
Okay.
Asante.
Yes,
All right.
Dennis,
Rebecca?
you have a concern, Dennis? Dennis Welle. You can unmute yourself. Okay, if there is no other concern, Caroline Mumbi. Caroline, do you have something to say?
Yes, I have a
Okay,
question.
Rebecca. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
My question is,
Mhm.
I can see we have two cohort. One is 12, one is 11. Can you classify or can you clarify those two classes? Because I can see even on Thursday there is a class, on Friday. I'm not understanding the meaning of those things.
Okay, let me explain briefly. Since we started this diploma program, we are now having cohort 11 and cohort 12. So when you see DLM 11, that is cohort 11, DLM 12, that is cohort 12. Recently, this year, 2024, we graduated cohort 10. So for cohort 11, they are going kind of through some refresher. For cohort 12, you are being introduced to these modules. Now you are okay.
Yes, can you pardon again?
I said these are two cohorts, cohort 11 and cohort 12. That is why we have those connotations, DLM 11 and DLM 12.
So am I supposed to attend the classes for both or for?
That is fine. That is fine. That is fine. Yes.
Okay.
Although Caroline, you will find that cohort 11, they are ahead. Cohort 11 are ahead. This is a beginner. Them 12, they are starting. You realize yesterday they had induction. 11 had already done induction. They are continuing with the other modules.
Yes.
Rebecca, please, may I now raise my concern?
Yes.
Okay, this is Dennis. Actually, I had questions as we were progressing, but I cannot go back to those questions because they were touching on presentations directly. So it could have been relevant after a presentation. Now, right now, my concern, hello?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, my concern is how soon should we start doing the assignments? Because I understand we have cohort 11 and cohort 12 being together, while cohort 11 are ahead because they had learned something. Cohort 12 are just beginning. So how soon should we start the assignment? Because from the portal, I can see the assignments, though they don't appear active. Yeah. So I need a clarification on that.
All right. Let me respond to that, Madam Rebecca. As you can see, as you are told during the orientation session, this program is branded. It's branded. We might even come to the ground for face-to-face sessions as we move on. There are 9 modules.
Okay.
So some modules will be undertaken online, others will be undertaken through face-to-face sessions. Now, for those who are starting, let me talk about the pace of study. Now, you are supposed to clear this diploma within 1 year.
Yeah.
You'll have access to the online portal throughout 24/7. So you can read and attempt the assignments, go through the instructions during your free time. And we normally advise our teachers we normally advise our teachers to take advantage of the holidays, when you can read through some of the areas and respond to the assignments, and you are done. Because when schools open, you may have a lot of work on your hands. So it's good that you move by your own pace, but then you ensure that before you can undertake the final examinations, all your assignments are done.
Okay. So
Yes,
that means we can, because I thought there was a timeline that cohort 12 was supposed to wait until they are told now you can do the assignment. So it means you can do it
so
as
long
early as even now, so long
so
as you
long
are
as
ready.
you've started, so long as you've started introducing you to the modules, you can kick off the reading and the assignments.
We have
We will
done
ensure that
some of the
we will ensure that the modules are active, the assignments are active, so that you can be able to undertake those assignments and the readings. Yes,
Thank
Elvis. Someone was talking. Is it Elvis? Elvis or Sam?
Sorry. Okay. I wanted to help my colleague that some of us in Cohort 12, because the work was introduced in August. Some of us have done the model 1. And I think such questions can also be raised by our people. Mr. Quilla is always there for us, at least.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have Aquila, we have Sam, we have Elvis. All these are ICT technical people who can help you in case you have any issues. And you'll find them on the WhatsApp walls where you can air your
Also, we have Munuve. We have Munuve on board. Who has been our technical person who can assist you.
Okay, Rebecca, maybe you can wind up so that we can.
Yes, I want to give somebody a chance to pray for us. And maybe this time already. Purity Matutu.
I have a question.
Who has a question?
Yes.
You could raise your question and then Purity will pray for us.
I have a question. Hello. The first one is you said this cohort is just introduction. So I was asking, when are we going to start? And then another thing about
this cohort started yesterday.
It started yesterday.
Started yesterday. Today we have done module 1. We are going up to module 9.
We are going up to, so we are done with the module 1?
Yes. Now you will just go and read on your own in the virtual campus.
Thank you.
Madam Rebecca.
Yes.
Excuse me. Let me just clear that once we have introduced participants to a module, this is called what? It's a program that is flexible. You take up the module and you start learning immediately. You go online, access the module, access the units, download the slides, read, undertake the assignments, and you'll be good. That is the mode of the study in this program. So not that we are introducing and then we'll go deeper into the content. We have introduced you to the module. For example, module 1. Then you go and look into the nitty-gritties of the content within the module and even outside the module. You're not limited to the module, even outside the module. Because, for example, if it's Vision 2030, you may want to access the original document and read through. If it's SDGs, you may want to get the document and read through the SDGs. I hope I'm very clear on that. Okay. I can't hear anybody.
Mr. Ngatia.
Yes, please.
I'm seeing that most of the issues seemingly are technical, so we'll still be here to answer the technical issue.
Okay. All right. Okay, Sasa. So, Madam Lebek, you can wind up with a prayer.
Okay, Jacqueline, can you end the meeting with the word of prayer? Jacqueline Mwikali? Jacqueline? Jacqueline, can you unmute yourself?
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, let us pray. Okay, let us pray. Great and everlasting God, we bless your name. Thank you because of the good session that you've given us. Thank you because of every one of us who is learning. Thank you because of our lecturers. How we bless your name because of the session we have had. We also pray that as we come to tomorrow's session, that you help us out. Be our God, be our Father. In Jesus' mighty name, we do pray.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline. Now, the ICT team will be available for a few minutes to fill you in on some of the details on the LMS, and now you can go about technically. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the questions that are being asked were answered yesterday. Some of the questions that were being asked were answered yesterday. So I will give a few moments. Please do not ask a question that was already answered yesterday, in the interest of time. I will start with Francis. Francis, please unmute yourself.
Yes. So thank you for this opportunity. Yes. Mine was just clarification. I heard there is somebody who said there is, I don't know, August cohort, and this, I don't know, December. So maybe can you clarify? Where are we? Where do we belong? Because I remember I joined in August. And I remember there is this induction also, you did it sometimes back at August. So where do I
Yes, we
belong?
have been clear with this. Yesterday, as I was speaking, I mentioned that this is a refresher class because this class started in August. However, some of us joined late and may have not had a chance to have the induction. So this is a refresher class. Those who attended the August class, feel free to attend this class or not. Am I clear?
You are very clear. Now, sir, thank you. So last question.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know, you can help us to get into the portal. I heard there is a madam has given us assignment. How maybe we are going to answer and submit.
Are you in the WhatsApp group of your county?
Yes.
There is someone there who is going to assist you. Please write on your WhatsApp group that I am unable to access the portal. Someone will assist. If not, I have posted our WhatsApp numbers on the chat. Take them, look for us on WhatsApp. I have posted the message on WhatsApp. There are 4 numbers. Click on each of those links. You can access any of us, send us a message, include your TSC number, which will assist you to do to access the virtual campus. Thank you.
It's okay. Last, please.
Yes.
Hello. About the 5,000. Maybe I'm not able to get 5,000 now. Maybe I'm expecting by the end of this this year. Then I don't know. Am I able to do the assignment, whatever, everything, or I have to pay so that everything unlocks now?
No, you're not locked out on anything. We're encouraging you to make the payment.
Okay.
Thank you and have a good night. Please do not ask a question that was answered yesterday. Fibling, you asked, your hand is still raised, you asked. I tried to unmute you yesterday, you were not speaking. Are you there, Fibling, or you are just raising your hand? Caroline Mumbi. Are you there, Caroline Mumbi? You have raised your hand. Okay. Collins, keep your gun.
Okay, I'm here, and I was inquiring something, though so
Yes.
personal. Now that that cohort 12, though I joined earlier, I even joined before cohort 12.
If you joined before cohort 12,
when
you're in
cohort
cohort
12
11.
was going on, and I've done module 1 and 9 already, even the research, but my
You are in
registration
cohort
reads
11,
cohort
you're not in
12.
cohort 12.
But there it is reading cohort 12.
Reach out to us, we shall find out where you're supposed to be.
All right, fine, thank you.
Lazarus.
Hello.
Yes, what is the question?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I want something to be clarified on something that was taught yesterday. That is something to do with the face-to-face lessons that will be done sometimes later. So I want to ask, is it the same case with the exam that we do at the end of the course, that it will be in every county, or the exam will be in one centered place from all the
The exam
learners
will
in
be
Kenya?
done at the county level. The exam will be done at the county level, just like the face-to-face.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night. Peter Ali. For those who don't have anything to say, please, you're free to leave. Enjoy the rest of your night. Yes?
Hello.
Go ahead.
I am Peter. Yes, I'm Peter. I am calling
Yes,
from.
please ask your question.
Yes.
Just go ahead.
Okay, my question is, I'm in cohort 12.
Yes.
I have just joined today.
Yes.
Now, when are we expecting our exams?
We shall announce exams will be sometime next year. It's a 1-year course.
It's a 1-year course. So meaning we are going to do the exam
Do
by
the math.
maybe
Do the math.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
now
Have
after
a good
paying
night.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, no waste time. Just as a follow. Justus. Is there Justus? He's not here. Mr. Paul Njunge, your question, go ahead.
Yes.
Paul, are you there? Yes, go ahead with your question.
I'm there. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm in cohort 12. I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know. There are these sessions on Thursday and Friday.
Yes.
Is cohort 12 supposed to attend those sessions?
No, cohort 12 is not supposed to attend sessions for an earlier class. Your class ends tomorrow. Please do not attend Thursday and Friday sessions because that is for an older class who are way ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Amos Mwandia, Amos.
Yes. Are you able
Go
to
ahead
hear
with your
me?
question.
Okay, thank you very much. My question was on how we access the LMS. Can we use the Google or the Chrome?
Yes, you can use a browser.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Peter Wekesa. Peter, are you there? You're not there. Peter Mangwa Wekesa.
Yes.
You have your question,
Hello.
please go ahead.
My question is about yesterday's session.
Yes.
I attended the whole session, but I was unable to register. I don't know how there is a way on how we can register.
That has since passed. Please make sure you register today.
Okay.
Ensure you register today. Thank you. Kitonga. I didn't like the way you are speaking, Kitonga. Your question?
For purposes of bursary application, could you please share for us some fee structure for this specific course?
The fee structure is available on the website. It's written there in black and white. Go and have a look at it.
All right.
Good night. Patrick Chepkonga. Patrick, your question?
Yes. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I wanted to ask about research. You were told yesterday I don't know, when are we going to discuss about research?
Tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted. Thank
you. Christina. Justus, you still have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
We had asked sometimes some of us are NEC examiners and you schedule the lesson during the time we are still marking. You know, you're marking from 7 to 7 p.m. So we requested the change of the lesson time, but